LIVERUR has a very specific philosophy and mindset. Its principles should be clearly stated in the Pilot Living Lab's governance models. But these models must also be adapted to the context and nature of each project, comprising all the subjects that have been discussed so far. Finding the correct model to operate, organize, and manage the Living Lab is critical for its sustainability. A clear course of action needs to be implemented, defining a clear understanding of what is going to be done and how it will be done. Governance is about setting priorities, establishing the proper organizational structure and interactions between members, defining how partnerships should function, outlining funding, and envisioning growth strategies. So, to put things clear, we should be inspiring commitment and assigning responsibilities, establishing a solid management structure, and deploying proper working practices according to the available resources and technology. Governance can be very demanding, as it covers a broad scope of tasks and technical areas. It is even more complex if we consider that multiple interests need to be aligned, including those of the Living Lab, its staff, its users and stakeholders, LIVERUR's partners, and even the Horizon 2020 rules. Governance is, in fact, all about resource optimization, efficacy, accountability, flexibility, and compliance with the rule of law. In order to provide a transparent, responsive, practical, and effective management system to the Living Lab, some features need to be properly handled, namely the level of openness, the establishment of a climate of cooperation, interoperability, design for scalability, intellectual property rights and ownership of the project's outputs, the role of public funding, the balance between public and private involvement, finding the proper balance between what should be public and what must remain private. When preparing the governance model for your Pilot Living Lab, you are advised to carry out some critical tasks, including defining the organizational structure of your Living Lab, clearly describing roles and responsibilities, establishing internal rules, procedures, and management practices, building a budget and identifying funding mechanisms for the Living Lab, identifying potential partners with whom new projects can be developed while applying for funding, identifying the skills you will be needing in your team, and describing the desired profiles of staff members. You can use the 6 tools in the LIVERUR's toolbox to plan, control, and adjust your governance model in different stages of the Pilot Living Lab's development. The learning loop is very useful for learning with past experiences and evolving. The causes diagram is a means to understand specific problems and what is, in fact, causing them. Marketing mix is widely used in businesses and is a very straightforward way to prepare any organization to meet its market's demands. Elaborating a critical task list can be very useful to identify tasks that must be carried out and prioritize them. Scaling plans help preparing the future growth of the Living Lab. And spiderweb graphics are easy-to-use tools that facilitate comparisons and benchmarking. In the Azores, the Pilot Living Lab is being implemented in Terinov, a brand new science and technology park. We have seen previously how rich and valuable are Terinov's resources, facilities, and support services. However, there are still challenges for the pilot project's governance and for its future growth. Since the Science and Technology Park has its own governance, there is the need to ensure that both sides will not collide and may in fact leverage each other. So, a scaling plan seems an interesting way to structure how the Living Lab should be developing inside Terinov. Looking into the future, Terinov's team has a solid know-how regarding innovation projects and entrepreneurship. However, they need to be more acquainted with some other concepts of the LIVERUR matrix, namely open innovation, living labs, and especially the circular economy. This is vital for a sustainable approach to the circular rural living lab concept in the Azores in the long term. While key people in Tarinov's team are skilled in business development, it is vital that they embrace more responsibilities in the LIVERUR pilot living lab as time flows. If they are capable of leading such projects, they will be able to take it to the next level. Fortunately, Tarinov's reputation is growing despite its recent start. This facilitates the attraction of potential users for the living lab. Nevertheless, it is important to strengthen this position in the international scene in order to attract relevant partners, networks, and projects. At this stage, due to its resources, Tarinov can easily accommodate LIVERUR's pilot living lab. As demand increases, it will be important to keep all users well served, which may imply adaptations to labs and facilities. Tarinov's business model may be adjusted as well to reinforce a work environment based on open innovation. Participating in EU innovation programs and projects is something that should be explored in this regard. This is a simple approach to the skilling plan of the Azores Pilot Living Lab. However, it gives the project's team a guideline for its future development and management. In the next video, we will be looking to the last piece of the puzzle and discuss innovation outcomes.